in the work that we do with Dr. Manock and pastoral counseling, one of the things we look for immediately is a father wound or a mother wound, because if you can find that and work that and help repair that, it often changes everything. I just had a client just in the last month I've been working through, and they came to me and they thought their issue was their self-worth and their abilities with a job, and they got fired from a job a while back and it just kind of crushed them. And instead we worked the father wound that I found. And as they actually repaired with their biological father over the process, then I said, hey, go ask your biological father about this work situation. And as soon as he spoke into it, everything changed for the client. Everything changed. And so my theory is this, man, I literally had a Black Lives Matter protest go down the street here where I was at. And the word matter keeps really catching me, that they want to matter, and matter is such a sense of identity and value. And my question is, could it be, according to the Washington Examiner, we've got 77% of Black children are growing up without a father in the home. Could it be that we've got 3/4 of an entire ethnic population that is missing the neurowiring to have a sense of identity and to matter? And so, yes, they're crying out to matter, and that's the right cry, but maybe are they asking the wrong people?
I think, first of all, I think it's 100% legitimate. It's much more legitimate than some of the other things that they're blaming, for sure. But even if you look at the Black Lives Matter organization and what they stand for, lots of people have been on their website. I've been on their website. They don't mention fathers at all, right?
Yeah.
So it's almost a built-in resentment for patriarchy, right? The rule of the father, for male headship. There's a resentment there because there are a lot of them that have been abandoned and have that missing piece in their life. But in my opinion, because of the damage, because of the social overhaul, the social engineering that's taking place, the only place I really see is the cross, And when you say that to non-believers, it sounds like fantastical and like there's nothing practical about that to somebody that doesn't have a believing heart. But the kind of repair and repentance that's needed is only going to come through Christ, because there's so much that's been done to the Black community, both by policy and by culture. We have a culture of fatherlessness, and then that culture of fatherlessness is incentivized by a lot of the policy, a lot of Lyndon Johnson's policy, a lot of the welfare policy, a lot of the incentives that we give both culturally and economically. We incentivize dysfunction in a lot of ways. And I experience this a lot when I talk to my own family, is that we have inculcated that in our own minds, and we think that a lot of these things are quote unquote Blackness, right? A lot of our community thinks that this is what it means to be Black. This is what represents us as a people group, and I just, that's simply not true. I mean, of course, the legacy of slavery plays a part. Of course, the policies that have been implemented have played a part in the trauma that we've suffered as a people, has played a part. But we've had stints of success and progress, and we've had successful phases in American society, some better than others. And I think that if we look to those, like you said, when we were more influenced by the church, even superficially, right? But when we had those institutions in place and those influences, rather than the ones we have now, especially with the church being demonized, period, not even just the Black church, but just church, period, and Christian faith being demonized, you have an accumulation of things that turn people away. So I agree with you in large part. Even without the neuroscience part, I would agree.
Right.
Just from a social aspect, when you engage with people, when you see the things that they talk about, when you see, the values that they have and the disdain that they have for not just men, but masculinity itself, right? Talk about the LGBT agenda, talk about the feminization of, you know, lots of different races of men, not even just black men in particular. It's just an all-out assault on the masculine principle of humanity.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, and I think, you know, we have a saying in the black community, we're like the canary in the coal mine, right? Anything they want to try on the overall population, they'll try it on the black community first.
Mm.
And if you look at I was on a conference about a week ago, and I was talking about the Moynihan report, right? Daniel Patrick Moynihan dropped this, what was it, the case for national action for the Negro. And it was basically telling us, you know, 60 years ago, right, during the civil rights movement, that look, the Negro population is on track to become a disaster when you look at the fatherlessness, when you look at their out of wedlock births and things like that. And you know, all of that ended up coming to fruition. And that wasn't a biblical prophecy. That was just application of social sciences. You know what I
Right.
mean? And looking at the trajectory. So
Right.
anybody that's honest about, you know, their own life experiences, anybody that's lived in the black community, right, and seen some of the things that we say is culture, it's obvious, really, you
Yeah.
know.